So we're continuing with our compound interest in APY, so you'll need these notes and your math of finance formula. On number 1 and 2, we just concentrated on picking out the information, and now we're going to use that to actually solve some compound interest problems. All right, so if we look at number 3, we're asked, what is the future value of $4,000 invested for 3 years at 4.25% compounded monthly? And how much interest did you earn? So let's take a look at some of these numbers. And I also want you to notice the phrase compounded monthly. All right, so if we take a look at this, $4,000 is the amount invested, so that's going to be our principal. Our time in years is 3 years. And then our rate, we're going to rewrite that as a decimal, but that's going to be 4.25%. So when we go to our formula chart, we've got several formulas for compound interest. So here are the 3 formulas. This one over here, notice it says continuous. We will only use this when we see continuous interest in the problem itself. I didn't see that word, so this one's out. So we have to pick between these two. We use the first one if we know the principal and need the future value. And we use this one if we know the future value and need the principal. So if we go back and look at our problem, notice we had the principal and we're asked, what is the future value? Okay, so remember on our formula chart, S is future value. So that's what we're trying to find. And we're also asked to find the interest. So if I go back to my formula chart, I can see of those 2 formulas, I do need the top one because I know the principal and I need the future value. So on all of our math of finance problems, we are going to show, sorry I'm writing this down, you want to show the formula, the plugged in values, and the answer. You do have to show all 3 of those in order to get credit. Now I know P, but notice I don't see T or R in this formula. So if you go back to your formula chart, remember that I is our periodic interest rate, and it is R over M. So R is our interest rate written as a decimal, so 0.0425. Remember to go 2 places to the left. M is the number of times compounded. So when I see this compounded monthly, that tells me that M is 12. Now I'm not going to actually calculate this. I'm just going to leave it just like this. Now we also need N. If you go back to your formula chart, N is M times T. We just said that M is 12. Our time is 3. So this tells us we're going to compound a total of 36 times. All right, so now I'm ready to plug into my formula. I don't know S. P is 4,000. And then in parentheses, 1 plus, in place of I, 0.0425 divided by 12, all raised to the 36th power. Now when you put this into your calculator, the only place you need parentheses is right here where you see them in the formula. Okay, so let me show you how to plug that into your calculator. All right, so I'm going to show on a graphing calculator, but the other ones are similar. So I'm going to type in 4,000. I'm going to put my parentheses, 1 plus 0.0425 divided by 12. I'm going to close my parentheses, and then to raise to a power, I'm going to use this button right here. All right, this is called a caret. It raises it to an exponent so I can put in the 36. Now remember, this is money, so I want to round it to the nearest penny. Notice it says 916, so I'm going to round that up to 92 cents. So I do get a future value of $4,542.92. Now this is the future value. This is what the investment will be worth at the end of the 3 years. But remember, to get interest, if I take the principal and the future value, the interest is how much it changed from here to here. So it went from 4,000 up to 4,542. So in order to get interest, I can always do future value minus principal. Now I'm getting this from the formula chart, but I am rearranging it a little bit. I'm taking this formula and I'm just solving it for I, so I'm moving the P over. All right, but this is very logical if you think about it. This is the amount of money you would have after 3 years minus your initial investment of $4,000. We can see the amount we made in interest was $542.92. All right, so now let's look at number 4. Number 4 says, what is the future value of $2,000 invested at 3.5% compounded continuously for 5 years? How much interest did you earn? Notice that word continuously. What that means is on our formula chart, we are going to choose this formula right here. This is the only one we have for continuous interest. And this is S equals P times E raised to the RT. All right, so we know our principal, that's 2,000. So we can plug that in. Now E is actually a constant. It's going to be found on your calculator, and I'll show you where to find it in a minute. Now what's important is this needs to be in parentheses. So my rate is going to be right here. I'm going to write that as 0.035 times my time of 5. So this one I didn't have to calculate the I or the N, right? I could put straight into the formula. So on this one, most people will miss it because they'll either do 2 sets of parentheses or no sets of parentheses. We just want 1 set. All right, so let me show you how to put this one in your calculator. All right, so we're going to put in the 2,000. Now I have to find the E. So if you look at this calculator, if you find the button that says LN, you should see something right above it. Notice it says E to the X. So I'm going to hit second and then LN. Notice that pulled up the E and it opened our parentheses. So now I do 0.035 times 5, and I want that in 1 set of parentheses, not 2. Okay, so here's our future value. We have $2,382.49. We're not going to round the 9 up because there's a 2 next to it. All right, so that's going to give me, move that over, the future value. So remember, the future value is going to be what you invested plus what you earned in interest. All right, so there's the future value. Now we want to get the interest. So just like I did before, I know the future value was 2382.49. I'm going to subtract off my original investment of 2,000, and the difference is going to be $382.49.